Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Blueprint Exclusive and I'm Meghna Dekha. Well, today we are going to tell you how the unrealized dream of a Khalistani state now has, well, many would say fructified. That's right. You have the Rogue Republic of Khalistan. Here's presenting a rogue republic which doesn't have mandate, it does have grenades. This is the Rogue Republic of Khalistan, which has actually set up shop. The Khalistani terrorists, who have lost all relevance in India, today are setting up their own capital, their own state, and yes, their own embassy. Not here in India, because they have no relevance here, but all the way across in Canada. Surrey, to be precise, has become the new, well, if you can call it the terror capital of Khalistani state, which they call the Republic of Khalistan. Can you believe it? The irony. This is a joke. A joke to say that Khalistan can set up the Republic of Khalistan all the way across, not even in India, in Canada. Have these India baiters been given a visa for violence in Canada? We thought that under the new regime, under now Canadian Prime Minister Carney, we'll see a resetting of ties between India and Canada after the Trudeau days. But then, what really explains this embassy stunt by the Khalistani elements? Well, let's tell you how a self-styled embassy of Khalistani goons has now surfaced in Surrey. You can see the building there, the Republic of Khalistan. That's the building which has been set up in a community hall in Surrey. This is the board which reads Republic of Khalistan. Well, as per the reports, this building was constructed by funds which are given by the government of British Columbia, that there were grants given. This money came from the taxpayers of Canada. At least part of these grants, as per reports, were coming in from the public exchequer of Canada. Not only are they backing it, they're now even funding something called the Republic of Khalistan. But does it really mean it has the blessings of the Canadian government? Can you ignore it? Khalistani thugs, remember, have reportedly partnered with Guru Nanak Sikh Gurudwara Temple and have established this, what they call the consulate. Maybe we should call it the consulate of chaos. Let's remind you how Kapil Sharma is not the only one. He, of course, had shots fired at his cafe in Surrey. But there are several others. There's Prem Dhillon. Earlier this year, shots were fired outside his residence as well, seen as an intimidation bid by the Khalistani goons there. Then there are several others that we are going to show you, the Punjabi icons who have been targeted. AP Dhillon himself had shots being fired outside his house in Canada as well. There are several others. For example, you have Gippy Grewal. In 2023, there were shots which were fired outside his residence as well. Well, there are, of course, Punjabi singers as well, who have been under the Khalistani radar. Let's get you some of the other names which are coming in. Jasmine Sandlas. In 2023, she received death threats hours before a concert in Delhi by Khalistani goons. There are others as well. Sidhu Moosewala, who can forget that? In May 2022, how his car was riddled with bullets. He was shot dead in Mansa of Punjab. Manpreet Aulak. In 2022, he was threatened, he was harassed by the Bambigha gang. Then there was Parmesh Verma. In 2018, he was injured in a gunshot which was fired by a Punjabi gangster. All of these are one after the other reminders of how Khalistanis have been fighting for their revival, fighting for any kind of relevance which they have lost in India. The NIA, in fact, in the last several years have been preparing a list of over 17 notorious accused. All of them have links with Canada. Will they be the envoys of the so-called Republic of Khalistan? Are these the faces who are going to be fronting it? Let's remind you of some of them. Satinder Jeet Singh, who is of course better known as Goldie Brar. He's born in Punjab's Mukhtar district. He is wanted for murder as well as trafficking. There are several others as well. Let's remind you. Arshdeep Singh Dalla. He is, of course, Arsh Dalla, as he is being called. That is his alias. He is originally from one of the villages in Moga, which is called Dalla. He is associated with the KTF as well as the ISYF, Khalistani organizations. There is Lakhbir Singh, who's also goes by the alias of Landa. Babbar Khalsa international leader. In fact, he hails from Taran in Punjab. He's one of the key conspirators in planting IED in Amritsar as well. So what should we make of this Republic of Khalistan? Well, surfacing just weeks after Canada's top intelligence agency, Canada's own intelligence agency, had admitted that Canada has become a safe haven for Khalistani extremists. That the report stated that Khalistani extremists continue to use Canada as a base for promotion, for fundraising or planning of violence, primarily in India. And remember, viewers, this report came just before Prime Minister Modi visited Canada for the G7 summit in June as well. Now, both the leaders, remember then, had agreed to return their ambassadors to each other's capitals, and now we have this embassy of Khalistani thugs, the Republic of Khalistan, which is being set up in Canada's Surrey. Can Carney rein in the Khalistani thugs? Can Canada crack the whip against Khalistani goons and terrorists? That's going to be the question. Let me go across to our panelists. Today, joining us on the show, we have Kushal Mehra. He's an author as well as a podcaster. He's joining us live from Toronto. Well, Kushal, it's a joke. There's no other word. It's a joke to say that there is a Republic of Khalistan which is being set up, not with just the blessings, but also the funding of Canadian government. And that too, not here in India, in Canada. Canada's Surrey. It's a joke, but why is it being allowed?
See, to be fair, it's going to be like a community center, which the Khalistanis are calling the Republic of Khalistan. So if, let's say, somebody goes to them and asks them what exactly it is all about, they're going to be like, oh, it's an information center about our movement, about Khalistan, and that's how they're going to wiggle out of it, right? But I mean, I'm sorry, you can't help but laugh at this scenario.
It's got
beyond
the
point.
band SFJ, which is part of it, Kushal. You have the SFJ, which is the band organization. It's not a community. I think it's a disservice to the Sikh community, which is there in Surrey, to say this is a community hall.
No, I know. What I'm trying to say is that's how they will wiggle out of it. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. You have to understand. That's how they're going to wiggle out of it. And SFJ is banned in India.
Yes.
It's not banned in Canada or America, right? They're not banned there, so they are doing what they're doing. But look at the irony of this entire scenario. I don't know how many of you remember in the past the Khalistanis also had this silly currency notes. Do you guys remember that? Those ugly looking currency notes that they had. I think even monopoly money looks better than Khalistani currency notes. But it is what it is. We have to live with these realities that Canada allows these absurdities. And unfortunately, this is part of our life here in Canada. As a person who lives in Canada who's of Indian origin, I genuinely had to, I had a great laugh when I got up in the morning today and I saw this news segment of the Republic of Khalistan. I actually started cracking up. I was like, these guys, you know what it is? It is like, now what the Khalistanis are doing in Canada is actually, this is click farming. This is click farming in real life. They are so starved of attention from anything. So they just come up with absurdities and they know India will cover it. So they just keep doing these weird things and they know India is going to cover it. So they just keep on doing it. It's very entertaining. To be very honest, it has no real impact in anybody's life.
It perhaps would have been entertaining if they weren't out there shooting in the streets of Canada, as we are looking at. Even, of course, none other than Indian comedian Kapil Sharma's Caps Cafe. That too, on 10th of July, was shot at. They rained bullets. They even claimed responsibility, said, yes, it is a Khalistani group which had carried it out. Dean Baxendale is also joining us. He's an international publisher and a columnist at the Sunday Guardian. Dean Baxendale, it's sad, but it's true. It's a fake Republic of Khalistan, but unfortunately, the fears are very real and it's getting more and more real for Canada. Now, what's interesting, that gone are the days when Canada would say under Justin Trudeau that these are just baseless fears and allegations which are coming in from the Indian government. Now, you have your own Canadian intelligence agency which has come out and said that Khalistani extremists are using Canada as a base. They are planning acts of violence, primarily targeted India, politically motivated violent extremism. This is Canada's own CSIS, their own intel service, which is giving red flags. Why are they not listening?
The politicians?
Carney, one would have expected things would change.
Well, one would expect that things would change, especially with Mark Carney coming in as Prime Minister and obviously making a direct entree to the Indian government and Prime Minister Narendra Modi to improve our relations between the two nations. This is an important bilateral relationship, especially in the wake of Donald Trump and the tariffs that are being imposed both on India and on Canada. But this issue has been, in Canada, and the Canadian Security Intelligence Service are, fine individuals who, unfortunately, do not have a mandate to actually action any of the intelligence to which they have found, developed, reported. It's up to the politicians. It's up to the RCMP to take action on these. But you need to have political will. And since we have a Sikh, group in Canada, highly financed by illicit trade, by the way, and criminal gangs that ultimately are having an impact on Canada's electorate, and i.e. Canada's politicians, we sit back and we do nothing. This is a travesty. It's been identified, as I said, for 40 years since the Air India bombing. We need to actually stand up and take and arrest these people if they are indeed perpetrating acts of violence, promoting them, and doing terrorist activities. But yet, our Canadian government is silent because we do not want to offend various voters in various constituencies.
But that's very interesting. Kushal Mehra, is the Canadian government going to enrage the Indian vote bank there in Canada by taking a strong step against the Khalistani terrorists, by ensuring that the streets are safer from the bullets which are being rained by these guns, by establishing, or rather stopping the establishment of the Republic of Khalistan within Canada? Is it not in Canada's favor to do this?
Now, that's a very important discussion that we need to have, and that's where my concern is. And I take you back to the Kanishka bombing. I'm just using the Kanishka bombing as an analogy, and I will connect them to the shootings and the attitude of the overall Canadian society when it comes to these extortion-related shootings done by Khalistanis, because they are claiming it themselves. See, when the Kanishka bombing happened, the then Prime Minister of Canada called the Indian counterpart as if it was an Indian tragedy. And the entire approach of the Canadian body politic and Canadian society was like a bunch of Indians died. No, they were Canadian passport holders that died. And the same thing happening right now with the extortions. The people who are being extorted, who are being threatened, who are being shot at are Canadian passport holders, Canadian business owners, Canadians in general. But again, the overall attitude of the Canadian society is, brown on brown violence, who cares? Hashtag Sanuki. That's the problem. Now, that is a legitimate concern that we should have, because today it's in Surrey, it's in Brampton, it's in Mississauga. Tomorrow it's going to fester beyond that. So that's the discussion we need to have, and that's why we need to rein in the Khalistanis. As far as the current Canadian administration reining in on the Khalistanis, again, the Prime Minister has come in for a barely few weeks. We've had these exercises where intelligence sharing has started again. Let's give them some time. We gave Trudeau 10 years to destroy things. We have to give Carney at least a year to repair things. You just can't, waltz Carney over. I'm no fan of Carney. I'm no liberal. But the point is, you have to give everybody a reasonable amount of time.
Okay.
It's unfair to expect Carney to solve it in 2 weeks.
Well, that's very surprising. I think partly many would agree, yes, give Carney some time. Of course, Trudeau took his own sweet time to undo the kind of relationship that India and Canada had historically shared. But let's give Carney some time. In that case, in Baxendale, at a time when you have India sending out dossiers, and categorically they have talked about it, sources have told us very categorically that there is a free run which has been given to Khalistanis. They are operating freely for the last 50 years in Canada. They are linked to over half of Punjab terror cases. Niger had targeted Sikhs, Hindus, Christians in Punjab. Canadian agencies did not probe Nijjar, Dalla or Landa, all of them I have listed earlier. They talk about the extortion, the drug racket, saying that Punjab has been hit hard by extortion from Canada. Canadian gangs are smuggling Pakistani drugs into Punjab via drones. Indian agencies also say that drug money has been funding and they are going all the way across to Canada, that pro-India voices are being silenced by muscle and money. And Dean Baxendale, you have the government of British Columbia, which has given a dole of about, what, $15,000 as per sources, as funding to set up this Republic of Khalistan farce in Surrey.
Yes, well, once again, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing within our governments oftentimes. It is tragic. I would suggest that, yes, we should give Mark Carney some time, but quite frankly, very short period of time. I think that the intelligence, the reporting has been there, as we said, for many years. This is a serious problem. And if America wants to, take Canada's vows to become more secure, to go after terrorists in our own country and funding for illicit crime operations in this country that ultimately is leading to transnational oppression of Hindus in Canada and also on the Chinese side of things. This is tragic. We need action. We need action now. We don't need another dossier. We have all the information. Let's put an action plan in place to combat this and serve the citizens of Canada. Indian citizens, fine citizens that are here in this country trying to live and enjoy Canada. That's who we need to support, not the Khalistani separatists.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we've seen in the last elections the answer that Canada itself had given to the Khalistani groups which were operating. Your opposition leader actually went down in quite a puff. So maybe that should be a signal enough that it's time that we call out the rogue state of Khalistan, which wants to set up with its capital in Surrey. There is going to be no compromise on terror. Thank you so much, Kushal Mehra, for joining us, as well as Dean Baxendale. Without a short break, don't go anywhere. On the other side, we're going to tell you about how floods have unleashed havoc in Uttarkashi. Stay tuned.